Yes, dear. Of course I am.
I've got 15 people.
So you're gonna be working a lot this weekend?
Yeah, I'm thinking about trying to find a place to hide.
That's the thing. You wanna go hide out of a restaurant or a bar anywhere in town?
There's nowhere to hide.
You can't. What say you, fearless leader?
Are we good? No, Marty?
I don't know, I texted him.
Okay.
Oh, we don't have a Leslie.
No, he said no.
Nope.
Do we have a Nick?
No, he's gone.
All right.
Call to order the City of Port Aransas Planning and Zoning Commission meeting Thursday, May 25th at 3:03 PM. Citizen comments and reports. This time comments will be taken from the audience on any subject matter. Please limit comments to 3 minutes in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. The Planning and Zoning Commission may not discuss or take action on any item that not have been posted on the agenda. Number 3, items for consideration. Discuss and take action on minutes from the Thursday, April 27th, 2023 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
Like a motion to approve.
Mike Danis, motion to approve.
I'll second.
Craig got a second of the motion.
Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay. Barney Farley,
Yes.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Mike Dion,
Yes.
Chad Schmidt.
Abstain.
Item 3.2, discuss and take action to confirm BFVP 23-000645 is consistent with city's coastal management plan. Applicant seeks to construct a dune walkover for the Ocean View Estates community. Applicant Chris Micah, property location 501 Ocean View Drive.
They Google Earth is not on this.
We don't have any public. So we're on.
No public.
I wish Skorbarczyk was here because I actually do have a question for him. But Pape Dawson, again, these dune permits that Pape Dawson's being submitting are being done by Stephen Skorbarczyk, and I have to say that I like the format. I like the amount of data. The question I was going to ask Stephen is it. The application makes it very clear when you look at the exhibits that the boardwalk is for the Ocean View community. But it only touches the 3 lots. I just wanted a confirmation, but I'm gonna proceed and we'll be on the record as based on what the application says that it is for the Ocean View community.
Actually talked to him earlier. He said that it's just the 3 properties. I said, what's the communities? Well, it's just those 3 people involved. They're paying for it, they're doing the whole 9 yards. And it's not for everybody. Doesn't mean they can't make a deal or buy in or whatever, but it's just the 3 that own it right now.
And I just wanted it to be clear. Like I said, it doesn't, I don't have feelings one way or the other. What
Yeah,
arrangements they
does.
make. And speak of the devil. So,
There you go. Perfect timing.
so Stephen, I was just, Barney was filling me in saying you guys have talked, we just started, we're on the Ocean View walkover. But the application does say in no uncertain terms that it is for the Ocean View community. But Barney and you guys evidently had a conversation. Is that not the case? I just wanted on the record as to what the.
So the application is for 3 homes in that community.
Not exactly what it says, but that's fine. I just need a on the record clarification.
Yeah, the application's being requested by the Micah
Will be,
family.
right, will be constructed to serve the Ocean View community, period. So,
Yeah.
and I look at the layout, I do see that it certainly serves the 3 houses. It touches the 3 houses.
And
but
the intent is that that's the minimum and that the remaining property owners have the opportunity to join, but that'll be a private agreement between the people who paid for the walkover.
Yeah, like I said,
to get access through their sites.
I don't feel, I just wanted to make it was clear on the record that when we approved it, so. With that, you're here. Go ahead and, like I said, I was just complimenting Pate Dawson, but specifically you for the presentation and the documents and the data. It's a well put together permit that I think is pretty informative and data driven. So with that, I'll let you go ahead and.
So this is
Lane.
a dune crossing that's proposed for pedestrian access between a portion of the Ocean View community and the public beach in front of it. It's 5 feet wide, 400 feet long. It's been a minute, been 2 months since I put this one together, so forgive me on that. Yeah, so it's 320 feet long, more or less. And it has the walkover causes some minor impacts theoretically where it crosses over the peak of the dunes. Our intent is to leave the impacted dune volume and vegetation in place and mitigate for it by creating a new compensation dune, expanding a smaller dune closer to the houses.
Okay.
And we don't have to remove material from the primary.
So we're bringing in more material than we're taking out.
We're not taking out any.
Okay.
We're just bringing in material.
The review, and of course, I'll just remind you in this case, the Urban was the reviewing engineer. The format that they have taken, which I think is probably a good one, is to just cut and paste the ordinance itself and then make comments in that fashion regarding consistency with the coastal management plan. And so they were able to answer all the items in the affirmative, which we take to be an approval and a consistency with our coastal management plan.
So where it goes up and over the seaward dune, it's really nothing's coming off.
You're not cutting out the dune.
No,
It's just gonna be stairs up and over it.
right.
And then,
Yeah, it's shown as an impact, but the intent is to leave it in place.
and then you've got 5 feet on one side where it says no equipment, and then the 15 feet on the other. Can you use heavy equipment in that 15 feet with mitigation after the fact? Or
Yes,
It's just a temporary
regrade
impact,
it, reseed it?
correct?
yes.
All the normal
And those volumes are accounted for as far as a temporary impact.
Yeah, and the intent is on the north side of it. The intent is to just have foot traffic over there. That's needed to build the thing.
What grows back? Sunflowers. That'd be fun.
Yeah, there are I drove for the first time in a while the other day, and there is a significant number of sunflowers that are taking over
Oh, yeah.
at the toe of the dunes in a lot of areas.
Yeah. and the vegetation, the plan for mitigating vegetation encourages the property owner to make sure sunflowers don't grow back. It's more typical native dune vegetation.
Every time we've hydro seeded something with all the natives and the rye and everything else, you know what we get? Sunflowers.
It's called sunflower meat.
So am I reading that right? It's like 10 yards up closer to the property, and then there's. What's back there in the peak area? It was like 7 yards or something right there. Is that?
Well, the compensation is 10 yards, so that's just basically a dump truck full of dune sand to be placed as an expansion of that existing dune structure. And there's no intent to move volume around except as needed where we're driving tractors, trains and things to get the walkover constructed. So really the only earth moving effort is bringing in that 10 yards of material that's from offsite.
Not sure how you're gonna get it there, but okay.
It may be, you know, one powered wheelbarrow at a time.
Helicopter.
Maybe.
That would be cool to watch.
Yeah.
I'll see if that's what they want to do.
Agricultural drone
Hold my breath.
may take a few trips.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve item 3.2 that BFDP 23-000645 is consistent with the city's coastal management plan.
Mike Dana's motion to approve. Did I get a second? I'll second. Craig's got a second of the motion.
Mike Dan,
Yes.
Barney Farley,
Yes.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Chad Schmidt,
Yes.
motion carried.
Can I request that the oil permit application is tabled?
Yeah.
Or just not
Yeah,
heard.
I think we just say hold
Yeah, we just won't hear it.
Okay.
Yep.
That works. Thank you.
Item 3.3, discuss and take action, confirm that no dune permit BFNP 23-000643 is consistent with the city's coastal management plan. Applicant seeks to establish that no critical dunes exist on construction site. Applicant Case and Joel Harris, property location 242 Dolphin Lane.
Casey.
Casey, sorry.
Casey and Joel. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This particular property, I think I'm much familiar with Dolphin Lanes on the west side. Nicole has it drawn out there. Little, when we first got the no dune application, we were all, concerned that looked a little rough and that some things it might actually had revegetated and because it appears it was previously a flattened lot, but I actually went and walked it much to the disconcerting stickers that ended up in my shoelaces and pant hems. But it's rougher. It's vegetation and it is in fact flat without any critical dunes. So the no dune permit I think is appropriate. Again, even the pictures are a little misleading, but like I said, if you guys know the property, it does kind of rise up from the street level to create a pad site, but there are no critical dunes, and therefore we don't require these be reviewed anymore by an engineer, but they still do come to P and Z and council. So with that, I simply recommend approve.
Yeah.
This is that area back behind. They may have changed it, but between there and 12th Street, a lot of that was VE zone at one point. Super low. And I know like I worked down the street at 400 Dolphin and we did an ADU and half of that ADU was in a VE zone and half wasn't. But just noticed it said they're gonna do slab on grade.
Look real quick.
Yeah,
Say that looks pretty flat in that picture.
Yeah, it sure does.
Oh,
yeah.
you know,
It's the front part that was a little rough with vegetation, but but that is kind of what the entire site is that what you're looking at as a backside. First I drove out there and I thought it was the property across the street. I'm going, well, that's kind of a no brainer. Of course, it's all flat, but it was the property on the west side, I realized.
I see what you're saying, that when you look from the back of the property forward, it looks like there's more going on there. Hey, look, sunflowers.
A lot of-
Yeah. Did you say something about an ADU?
An ADU.
Yeah, did I hear you say that?
Yes.
Yeah, there's an ADU on Garrett's property?
No,
No.
it's on a
He
different
was saying he
property
was
on the same street.
in
but
on Dolphin.
On Dolphin, but to the west of where this property is, there's that weird area between there and 12th Street that's got, it's like a VE zone just in that area. It's a strange spot for a VE zone, but it's why nothing's ever been built in there, I'm assuming.
I see, okay, because I didn't see anything in here.
No.
I wonder, they have the distances from the,
Line of vegetation and
yeah, but it's not written down anywhere. Is it supposed to be on there? or-
it just needs to be on the application. They have to identify that. Or you've got like the other dune permit where they had all the exhibits and documents. Because they're showing mitigation and compensation and impact zones, they just use that to put, put the lines and mark the distance, but the
Mhm.
it only indicates that they need to give those measurements to you. And they have done that in the, I think attachment. It's 7-2,
Yeah,
which one?
the data's in there.
Yeah, page 5 of the 22 applications.
Chad, I'm gonna use this opportunity to show off our floodplain software a little bit. This property is marked behind you as 242 Dolphin Lane. Shows the current effective flood firms and an AE8, I'm sorry, AE11 all the way back. Then we can go here to what it was previously, because everything was in the BE, so,
So previously, all that red was BE,
correct.
and now it's an AE11.
Yep.
Which is still gonna be exciting, but not really what we're here for.
Nope,
Anyway, it is
But
really cool software
it is
too.
very helpful software.
Yeah.
Soon to be available to the public.
So they pulled all that stuff out of there.
They pulled almost all of our VE zones, out of
All the
every
way down
developable
south.
lot,
Except
Yeah.
one.
except about 6.
Okay.
But anyway, look for that in the future, be able to be
Yeah.
searchable.
Nicole
usable.
is very excited about the software.
I'm very, it has already saved me 100
Oh, I'm
hours.
sure. And normally software is a bit of a transition, but if you're adopting it so quickly, that's great.
But, and it'll be, like she said, it'll be a huge boom to public use too, you know, it's huge.
Yeah, right now it's already saved me about 100 hours. Once I make it available to the public, it'll save about 100 phone calls a week.
Oh, wow.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do anything there, right? Just do his grading as
Uh,
well.
Just needs to keep the site, maintained, because like I said, should any dunes reestablish, then they start the process all over, and the threshold isn't very high for that. Actually, it's kind of hidden with all the brush right now. You
It
know,
doesn't
so,
take much for the no dune permit to not be in effect anymore.
Yeah.
They've indicated that they're going to be submitting building permits like next week.
Oh.
It's a local family.
Doesn't take long to build a dune.
well, even a
Drop it in.
supersized gopher mound, once it vegetates in the GLO's eyes, is a critical dune.
I'll make a motion to confirm that item 3.3, that no dune permit is necessary for BFDP 23-000643, and it is consistent with the city's coastal management plan.
Mike Dayon has motion to approve. I'll second. Craig Scott has seconded.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Mike Dayan,
Yes.
Barney Farley,
Yes,
Chad Schmidt.
Yes.
I'm sure you guys heard Stephen requested that item 3.4 be pulled from the agenda.
Item 3.5, discuss and take action on PPLT 23-00043 line 439, preliminary plat of Marisol subdivision, applicant Marisol Villages LLC, property location 4100 block of Highway 361.
If this looks familiar, it is. It was approved at a prior, meeting, and when the recommendation reached council, Dave pointed out some language that regarding a variance approval, which this was, and although we felt we had talked about most of the topics that was specifically identified to have a variance granted, he felt that we needed to be very specific and those be addressed verbatim. And I think there's 4, Chad. I think I wrote them out on the checklist. Is there 4, 5, 5? And so with that, council asked that it be kicked back to P and Z. And here we are. So nothing in the plat itself has changed. And Stephen, preparing engineer, project engineers here. So that's correct. Nothing in the documents that you previously reviewed changed. It's just the request from council that we go back through each of those items specifically and address them.
Only the last 3 pages of your packet or things that you had not previously seen.
There was a mention, so I'm compelled to mention it, concern on the part of the city manager And it was discussed with some fairly significant length at council about fire safety and water lines, not typically an issue that's addressed at a plating approval, but again, it was a concern, and so I just wanted to, like I said, I'm obligated to go ahead and bring it up to you again because of the unusual distance that's being requested. Like I said, in your packet, as you normally do, you have the utilities responses to our inquiries as far as their feeling about the plat, and of course, the water district simply answered in the affirmative that it approved. I don't know what else I can offer up. Like I said, because fundamentally nothing else has changed on the document other than council at the advice of the city manager wanted us to address each of those specific items. And do we have is the checklist in the package, or did I?
No. Yeah, the direct ordinance is in the package because that's how Steven submitted
Okay.
their responses to it. So the whole ordinance plus
So the responses are
but
actually,
not the checklist you
Right.
created when you gave that to me, we already sent it.
but he based the responses on the same
On the direct ordinance that you,
verbatim,
correct.
what Chad has as far as.
He has the
Okay,
direct ordinance in there verbatim.
okay. So you have what I just prepared for Chad as chairman,
It's basically
ultimately to sign off on.
A, B, C,
Yes,
and D.
It was my understanding that we had to read each of those A, B, C, and D, and everyone had to basically acknowledge or agree to them. We have to kind of go through that formality in order for a variance to be passed.
I have a little problem with just the language, the way that the city has stated the language has to be said, because, I mean, at this point in time, we're not approving civil plans, we're not approving final plat, we're looking at a preliminary plat, which is pretty much a roadway. That's where we started last time, is that because there's no, we're going longer than what was by normal for a dead end street, and we've added the little elbows and turns and all that. From that standpoint, I mean, it's a regulation size street, all that seems good. But then they ask a question, granting a such variance will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in such zone or neighborhood in which the property is located. I can't say I don't know where that stops. I mean,
Is that D?
that's the second one. It's the one here, but public welfare is the the problem I have, because of something, what we were talking about down the road when they start going to civil, if there's a problem with fire hydrant flow or something along those lines. It was the
I mean,
second
there's,
one.
there's things that we can do when we're actually designing the water line. I mean, normally it would be a 6-inch water line. We can increase the size that would allow more volume, more flow, larger diameter line. You have reduced head loss. So you end up with a little higher pressure than you would if you used a 6-inch line. I mean, there's lots of things we could do when we actually design the line to accommodate those things, but we just haven't gone through any of that process at this point, because that's a construction plan type process. And
Well, there's a lot more to it than that. Just overhearing Scott talk about it. I mean, you do too big of a line, then you get stagnant water in the line and things like that.
I mean, you could loop a line
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
I mean,
loop
there's-
line, you have to do
like I said,
something.
there's lots of things to
Just
do.
the language feels like I'm getting put on the spot here, where I'm saying, hey, there's nothing
Well,
that could happen in this variance that would be.
that's why you guys get paid the big bucks. There is some interpretation there involved, but you guys are appointed to make those interpretations. The fire marshal could come in and say, I don't like the fire line. I still get concerns. He could require that everyone have a residential fire suppression system in there. I mean, he's got that authority if there's a true concern. So
Yeah, I guess the mention here where we can use the immediate waterways, the adjacent waterways for fire department pump trucks. That's probably not ideal. Saltwater.
Well, the one scenario that came up at council was, I guess there's been one fire in Island Moorings at the end of the street.
Right.
And there were
Right.
multiple units, multiple agencies responded. And when they had one fire hydrant flowing, it was fine. But when they tried to use a second fire hydrant, the pressure dropped off. But they have pump trucks, they were able to put a supply line into the canal and pump out of the canal.
Okay.
So, and since this is gonna be a canal subdivision, that scenario would be available for this as well. We
Okay.
were just pointing that out.
So how deep is the adjacent water?
I mean, normally we go down to elevation 0 right at the bulkhead and then it drops off further. Just depends on whether you want it to be navigable by larger boats or.
I was thinking pump, like behind Paradise Point, you could drop a pump in back there, you're gonna get sand, but there's not much water, but I don't know. Anyway, I have more of a problem with the language. the way
It's
they're-
dry, is it?
I mean, I've been over there and seen the backs of the property. That water looks like it's probably at least 3-4 foot deep.
Okay, well, that would
Yeah.
work. How many of these things have you guys gone through?
What, these things being,
Or variance with the checklist?
I
think
I've
this
done
may-
more in my career.
this may be our first in our 10 years.
David said this is how they were handled before. I guess when he was running the show,
Virginia was running the show.
when he and Jeannie were
I
running
mean,
the
a
show
lot of the
together.
language is just subjective and if you take it to the nth degree, then. I mean, I don't know, if you ask these questions about any project, I think you have a hard time saying, yes, if you took it to the nth degree, even if there wasn't a variance request. So it's, I mean, I'm hoping somehow we can just be. I don't know what the correct word is, but I mean, it's open to interpretation and like Rick said, y'all are the guys that have got to decide whether it meets this or not. You know, we kind of went through this before and it got approved, but now, yeah, you're staring at this language and. You know, gotta ask yourself if it's still approvable.
And so those that are, I guess, potentially opposed are suggesting that even though this would be similar to island moorings, are we feeling that island moorings didn't work from a fire safety standpoint?
I mean, I talked to Scott Mack about water pressure. He said that there's been no complaints with anybody. Water pressure in their house. You know, the one fire event that was discussed. You know, multiple units were involved. One fire hydrant worked fine, and when they tried to pump out of the second fire hydrant, they lost pressure. But, you know, they had to work around because canal water was available.
Sure.
You know, I can't speak to anything other than that. I can say that we're gonna have that same scenario where we'll have a canal behind each row of lots, so theoretically, they could do the same thing.
So it works just fine, and it's not like illegal or something, is it? I'm stealing some salt water. I mean,
No, I mean, if you're trying to save a house from burning, I don't know that someone would care
yeah,
about anything except saving the house.
I mean, that's just part of it's almost like written, you know, if you run out of water, you get salt water.
I mean,
Well, we're not ruling on the civil plan today. It's just this one that I keep coming back to, which you guys said. It's C in the packet here. The granting of the variance will not be detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare. Or injurious to other properties in the area.
I mean, you're
Or
right.
What we're reviewing here, of course, we can say that the roadway looks good. There's turnarounds, there's ways in, there's ways out, but.
We're right next to other canal type, you know, dead end cul-de-sac subdivisions of similar length. I mean, so I don't know how building something similar adjacent to those existing properties is going to be detrimental to those properties.
Suppose there wasn't any salt water available. What would be a solution for
I don't
something
think that
that's not
scenario
built
is
yet?
applicable. I think the canals are going to be deep enough to where that situation is not ever going to happen.
Hmm.
Especially,
Canals
especially with
being done
global warming.
All the way, I didn't think.
What's that? You have to take
We,
that-
one of the exhibits we, included with our supplemental information was,
That last page.
yeah, someone had to pull it out.
Well, the reason I asked, I mean, that house at Island Moorings, you know, if there wasn't any,
This is the point.
It's a bigger first.
if there wasn't a backup, they wouldn't have been able to provide.
Yeah, so you're committing, you are absolutely committing in this subdivision that you're putting those canals in,
Yes, sir. We need the material to fill the areas we want to develop.
and you're gonna bulkhead them,
Yeah,
so it's gonna be bulkheaded canals.
so be basically what they've done, it would be the aisles, what they got at Island Mooring.
Yeah, it's not.
Laguna
really-
Isles is the one that's just to the
It's sort of
south of
in
Island
between,
Borders, right?
It's old, so.
Is that what it's, is that
Where
Laguna
the
Isles?
two houses are.
With the two houses? Yeah, I mean, that's where I take a dog on walks.
Yeah.
I mean, there's bulkheads in deep water.
It just doesn't have the street. Sorry, this computer
And a
didn't
lot
have
of
it.
ducks.
So
Oh, you've got all kinds of cool stuff.
this is just Google Earth, but not downloaded. This is just the internet version of that, so it doesn't go more recent.
We can't, we were trying to show the Laguna Isles layout,
I could
but
try to download it.
you guys have seen, you guys
Sorry.
are familiar with the Laguna Isles.
Walk the dog back every day.
So. I mean, we can go back and forth just like we did the time when you said, well, this is the parking we did in one of the PUDs. I'm like, well, maybe that wasn't always the best idea, but so just because it happened in Island Moorings or happened in Laguna Isles doesn't mean it's the best idea going forward. I think for what we're trying to accomplish here. We're not trying to do the civil plan right now. We're trying to say if the road works. If it's just the way this language is written on that one, that's just, I'm hung up on because it seems like that's just. Now I'm bound to this for here to eternity. And if there's a fire and two houses burn and they can't get water, then somebody's calling on me in 3 years because I approved it. Which chances are it won't happen, but it's, the language is just so sweeping and what the city's trying to check the box on here is. That's a little tough.
You're looking at it from a liability standpoint?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
If I can, because this project is dependent upon canals that are adjacent to each lot. As long as the fire department has pump trucks, what you, this thing you mentioned, this hypothetical situation cannot happen. Unless your pump trucks don't work, that's, you don't have any control over that.
And the pump truck doesn't work, and then they still come calling us. We approved it in May 25th of 2023. Anyway, I understand it's,
The other truck may not work either. You know, those things can happen.
I know.
Odds are not good.
Dave, maybe you know more. I mean, I was handed this, which is, this is exactly how it's written in the city.
of the ordinance. I think ABC is straight out of the ordinance.
Well, he's looking at. the
It's the
sheet that-
same, it's the
that's
same
right,
thing.
yeah.
It's what you presented.
Granting variance request and deliberation consideration of the 5 conditions found in the ordinance. below. So it's not 4 out of 5, it's not 3 out of 5, it's 5 out of 5 have to be met.
We're changing the language, fix that, or?
The ordinance is what it is.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking at tonight. They can change the ordinance later, but then we'll.
I mean, change the language. is all I'm saying.
Change the language of the application.
And
Thing you want to do. Yeah,
Is it-
so.
is he reading from it?
Yeah.
So, language in there that's not gonna allow everyone to come forward, but I mean, there's really. There's not much else you can do with this piece of property just because of the shape of it. I mean, and if. You know, if we, you know, right now the single family subdivision ends at the cul-de-sac at phase 2, which is at 1,000 feet. You know, furthest you can go without a variance. You know, something's gonna be built there. You know, maybe it's condos, maybe it's whatever, and there's gonna be some kind of drive that extends from there to get to the last unit, which is probably gonna be at the end of the peninsula, so it won't be a public street. You know, if it's a
It's
private
still gonna
drive.
require fire marshal to sign off on it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's not-
Yeah.
It still has to
If
meet
he
fire
thinks-
code.
Yeah, if he thinks
still-
there's an issue with water getting to a condo, it's just as big of a problem. It's just a different person saying no.
The civil
agree.
plan, well, and I guess back to the language. If you say no on that one, the one that could no detrimental to public welfare, then you're saying it's absolutely gonna cause a problem to public welfare because you said no to, it's not going to. So, and I can't say that either, so it's just bad semantics, I guess is where I'm going.
You just have the issue, we're gonna have water contiguous to it. It may be salt, it may be saline. It's not connected to navigable water, therefore it's not automatically salt water. But odds are it's gonna be salty, not fresh, not potable for sure. But the whole subdivision is dependent upon that waterway. And that water is gonna be there, whether you ever need to use a pump truck for a fire that can't be put out with normal means or not. But if this project goes on, which is something's gonna happen here, that water is gonna happen is a part of it.
Well, Sonny, trust me, I think the road, once you guys came up with a solution, I think that's totally fine. And same reason we voted yes on it last time. It's just the fact that now we have to check these boxes and there's just. I'm gonna stop talking because your civil plans will address all that later. That's past us. Right now, we're just trying to say if we get past preliminary plat to get you guys toward final plat and plans and all that. But I don't. I guess I'm fine with it one way or the other. Anybody else have any questions or motions or anything else? Because this is a dead horse and I'm just gonna keep beating it.
I'd like to see that, I'd like to shrink that back down. You know, there's nothing supplying that right now but groundwater, right? At this time.
Supplying what?
When the tide gets high enough, it filters into them from the.
It comes to the salt flats.
You can go across the salt flats into those lakes will drain out into the salt flats.
You get a jet boat when the tide's high, you can get in there. Not making that up.
So it gets a regular recharge there, right?
Mhm.
In that case, there'll always be salt water in there like he's doing.
Well, especially with global warming, like we just discussed.
Yeah, I don't know if that's worked for us or against us. Now.
Sea level rise.
We may never know.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve item 3.5 PPLT 23-000439.
Mike Danis, motion to approve.
Question, if somebody else seconds it.
I'll second it. Craig Scott seconds motion. So do we need to go through and make a comment on every single one of these checkboxes or?
You guys just have to be
Motioning and
comfortable.
Seconding, we're saying.
You guys have to be comfortable that you've satisfied all of those.
Is this the last chance to modify that or anything?
I'd go to council.
You
and
get another
it
chance.
can totally get changed at
Yeah, you
council,
guys-
it can get changed at the building department. I mean,
There's
there's,
still a lot of,
Fire department.
hoops, like I
Yeah.
said.
we're just first in line here.
We're pretty much looking at the road.
Yeah.
But because of the way this variance language is written, it makes you take the broader.
It's in
Unicorn
this process. It's okay.
Want to go?
Blame it on him.
Okay, Mike Dan,
Yes.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Barney Farley,
Yes.
Chad Schmidt,
Yes.
motion carried.
Item number 4, Planning and Zoning Commission comments and items for future consideration.
Have a happy Memorial Day.
That I will call to adjourn the City of Port Aransas Planning and Zoning Commission meeting Thursday, May 25th, 2023 at 3:40 PM.
Graduation's now.
High school graduation.
I got 2 years left.
Yeah.
I got a junior and a 4th grader. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to repeat that language in there.
No, I know.
What no is not a right answer, I mean, this is not a right.
Right,
Hang on, give me a second.
right.